You may have heard of a little town called Washington, DC, which happens to be the current capital of the United States of America, but if you were like me, you thought it was just a place filled with phallic-style buildings that glorifies a very unwoke time in our history. I say were because after being sent by my family over at Get Lost magazine to experience DC 2.0, I can say with complete authority that DC may be my new favorite destination in 2022, as it's filled with enchanting neighborhoods that surprise you with their eclectic irreverence for cool, some of the best meals that I've ever had, and a nightlife scene that rivals, dare I say, Monday nights in Barcelona. The way things are going, this may be our last year here on Earth, so here is why I recommend that you check DC off your list before the new strain of COVID has its way with us. I was super excited to stay in Washington, D.C.'s new built-to-order hip neighborhood, The Yards, that took the defunct Navy Yard and magically transformed it into an Epicurean and tastemaker paradise. At the center of it, and a stone's throw away from the baseball field, is the luxurious, sleek Thompson Hotel. A premier Hyatt property, the rooms here are nothing less than dreamy, offering casual white-glove service and some very clever amenities that you wish you had at home. I also like their cheeky, sexy nod that we're in an adult playground part of town. While the hotel offers views that beckon you to explore DC, there is a strong case for not leaving the Yards at all, with Maialino Mare right downstairs, honed by my favorite restaurateur Danny Meyer, which was so hot that I couldn't even get a table there, so here's a bunch of pictures of food that they might serve you. And upstairs, the party continues with their penthouse lounge, Anchovy Social, which has killer booze, killer food, and killer views that give you a true glimpse into what it's like to live here. Well, they should come over to the bar, it's way more fun. Regardless of what kind of night you have, in the morning you will be met with perhaps the sweetest self-serve continental breakfast, which is worthy of a Pinterest board for sure, that will fuel you for your conquest of the great city of Washington, D.C. Alright, so while exploring the Yards district nestled in the District of Columbia, we discovered what would be our new most favorite dining experience, ALBI. And when I say experience, I mean it. Here, you journey through the rich, complex flavors of Levantine cooking with chef-owner Michael Rafiti guiding the way. Drawing on home-cooked Palestinian dishes, Rafiti gifts you with an unbelievable, authentic fine dining experience while wrapped in a womb of warm architectural beauty. Every ALBI seat is enchanted by the traditional wood-burning open hearth that adds palatable drama to every course. And their chef table offers more show than Cirque du Soleil. Now, while ALBI is known for their ambrosia, their nectar game is as on point, with a very serious wine program crafted by William Simons that brings eclectic Eastern Mediterranean grape direct to your palate. I was more interested in the small batch Syrian Iraq, whose ceremonial preparation and astringent bouquet put your meal into hyperdrive, both complementing these desert flavors while serving as physician on duty as a slowly administered digestif.
I thought I knew what this was. I don't know what this is. This is mother's milk. Woo! Let's eat.
Simply genius. All the sensory conditioning is perfect to prepare you for the Epicurean tidal wave that's about to crash on your palate. Equipped with a handy user manual to these unique flavors, the onslaught of playful dishes that come in waves raves in your mouth, each more complex and soothing than the next. Best yet, the entire experience is elevated by the super friendly and knowledgeable staff that seems to be as excited as you are to feast on such unique and perfectly prepared dishes. And why wouldn't they be? Embered mushrooms and black garlic hummus, smoked beef cheek dolma, apple and pear fattoush with pomegranate molasses, and smoked lamb belly kebabs with habanaba honey are a few of the magical dishes that, if said out loud, have a truly spell-like effect. Now, while the menu is not vast, it is profound, right down to the dessert. And while I would not consider ALBI cheap by any measure, every bite is worth every penny for this extraordinary special experience. Bravo, ALBI. Shakram lakum. Washington, D.C.'s Chinatown is like no other, where you can have an authentic transited experience and be transported away to the Far East by footstep. How about some online Capital One banking in Chinese? Or enjoy Cava Mexican Grill in Chinese? Or a potbelly sandwich in Chinese? And then obviously work off that sandwich at the Washington Sports Club in Chinese. Have traditional Pete's Coffee in Chinese? Or a healthy salad at Chopped in Chinese? Stay connected at T-Mobile in Chinese? Or get a new frock or a toilet brush in Chinese? Obviously you'll be wanting a big Mexican dumpling. Or, well, you get the idea. DC, you are a wild one. So I got to do something I always wanted to, which is check out a play at the infamous Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. There was quite a turnout to see Jose Carrasquillo's fanciful reimagined version of Dickens' Christmas Carol, with the preeminent Craig Wallace as Ebb Scrooge, but there was no doubt that many came to see this empty balcony, where Booth famously dispatched our beloved President Lincoln. What I was duly surprised to discover is underneath the theater is a rather profound, if not strangely thorough exhibit that displays all sorts of related material to the murdered commander-in-chief, including the actual pistol used in the heinous act, the overcoat that the president was shot in, and, if you can believe it, the very bloody pillow that he expired on. This is definitely the most macabre and haunting Christmas Carol I have ever seen, no questions about it. DC is a neighborhood town built to be explored by foot. One favorite area to hoof between is Logan to DuPont, where you'll be gifted by many unique sights, like a garden full of mutilated Barbie dolls. Yes, my friends over at Atlas Obscura tipped me off to this diorama of, quote, rotating cast of guys and dolls that is curated by an anonymous party offering a jaunty and festive display of Barbies that evolves year-round, and immediately brings a smile to anyone that happens upon it. Their strong Instagram game, with over 26,000 followers, boasts that Barbie Pond is bringing Logan Circle's property values down since 2014, but in their defense, I think it raises spirits exponentially to me. Hungry after such an art viewing, stopping by Nina May is a must, who, in my humble opinion, offers the best ambiance and brunch in DC, hands down. From their palate-splitting fresh cocktails to insanely fresh and creative takes on haute cuisine comfort food, you can bask in ambrosia glory, sampling sweet and savory flavors from around the world. Now, to get the experience of walking off a delightfully heavy meal without, any of the physical activity, it's recommended to stop by Shaw Skate Park just down the street to see some of DC's slickest practice their craft out in the open. Now crossing over into the brackish chic neighborhood of DuPont, we hit up one of the city's lesser known but fascinating museums, the Phillips Collection, which has the honor to be America's first museum of modern art, founded in 1921. This institution devotes itself to furthering the conversation of diversity in the arts, and at the time of our visit, we got to explore the works of Alma W. Thomas, who was the first black woman to be given a solo show at the Whitney Museum at the age of 81. Better late than never, I suppose, Whitney Museum, but thankfully the Phillips has their sights set on celebrating those underappreciated geniuses. I don't know about you, but amazing art makes me hungry. Did I say that before? Which is why Michelin star rated Unconventional Diner is the next mandatory stop. While this Instagrammer's wet dream might ward off hardcore diner fans with their crafty cocktails, you will not be disappointed by the elevated grub here. Large format plates are the taste du jour at this Unconventional Diner, with their chicky sandwich that delivers and a French dip poutine that would make any Quebecian say, "Mon Dieu, that's good." Fully loaded on the world's richest dishes, it was time to walk it off once again, but this time in a 4-floor mansion that may or may not be haunted. The mansion on O Street may not have the most unique name, but definitely offers a singular experience, unless you personally know an uber-rich hoarder with a playful obsession with secret doors. Here, after a strange short training video, you are let loose in this 108-room Victorian mansion that boasts over 70 hidden doors that you are dared to find. Most people only find 4 hidden doors, probably because the other 66 are hidden behind all this crap, I mean exhibit, which for the record is for sale. Yes, you can buy anything you see. Good luck with that. Frankly, this quote-unquote museum is a violent mix between an overactive swap meet and your Aunt Peggy's forgotten hoarder addict, and while not everyone's cup of tea, it is without question one of the strangest and unique places I've ever witnessed. There is so much more to see in DC, but unfortunately, we got lost somewhere between the 3rd and 4th floor and have been stuck here for about a month, so please send help. Washington, D.C. is just lousy with museums. From the Museum of the American Indian to the Spy Museum to a bevy of Smithsonian museums that bloom in the city. But one for me that rises to the category of must-see is the Hirshhorn Museum of Contemporary Art. Here you can submerge yourself in the genius of Bradford, Anderson, Kusama, Kruger, and Baba, whose large-scale works will simply astound you. What's more dizzying, perhaps, is that since it's a national museum, it's completely free to enjoy, making it all that much more brilliant. First, I got to take in Barbara Kruger, who is an artist that understands the power of word probably better than anyone, but definitely doesn't understand my hair. I'll let it slide. Gliding onward, I pass into the Laurie Anderson porthole and enter her world saturated with multimedia art. Anderson is perhaps the most prolific avant-garde artist of our time, and to experience her expression up close and personal is extremely transformative. The Hirshhorn is also a perfect vessel for her work, given that it's a flowing circular layout and allows you to drift from one immersive piece to another seamlessly, like dialing in a radio station in an old car. Here, you literally become a piece of the art as it consumes you, having a very Alice in Wonderland-esque experience, and Anderson welcomes you as she plays with scale in her work at every turn. I closed out this mind walk being blown away with one of my personal favorite anti-artists, Marcel Duchamp, one of the pioneers behind the Dada art movement of the early part of the 20th century. Since his playful saltiness that cracks the concept of what art should be is such a foundation for so many well-known modern movements, I was completely surprised to find a brilliant piece that I've never seen before. A display with the art being completely void. It's so simple and such a brilliant example of what the Dada stood for that I was completely crestfallen to discover that it was just a piece that was on loan and not done on purpose. Hey, listen, I'm a travel writer, not an art critic, so sue me. On unassuming K Street in Washington, D.C., you will find a warm, inviting dining experience simply like no other. This is dLena, meaning firewood, which Chef Richard Sandoval infuses into every drop and morsel. Here, wood is queen, where the barrel-aged smoked tequila flights are served on a bored-out patinaed piece of oak, giving you a diverse experience that has the power to erase that bad memory in college. If you're into a bit more pomp and circumstance, then summon a Mexican old-fashioned, where a chalice of Sierra Norte yellow corn whiskey and aromatic naranja bitters arrives in a glass-plated silver drink reliquary veiled in a thick layer of cherry wood smoke. Now, if you think that this is all for show, you're partially right, but there is no doubt that Sandoval's love for wood is being put to good use. Take, for instance, the smoked oysters with chipotle mignonette and smoked bacon jam, or the enigmatic Wagyu beef tirarito with Fresno chili citrus drizzle. Even something as simple as the grilled broccolini with smoked chili plays well in the fire, as does the grilled avocado with chimichurri. While all these surprisingly playful dishes confounded us, nothing would prepare us for the star of the show, simply named the Tomahawk. This bone-in, aged ribeye masterpiece is cooked to perfection in dLena's searing hot wood-burning hearth, and then finished tableside with an alchemist's dance, being dressed in bone marrow butter before showered with smoked mezcal and flambéed tableside. You even get a choice of salt, volcanic, mesquite smoked, or cultivated sweat from the virgin's brow. I forget the third one, but again, the dramatic theater matches the profound depth of taste in this truly unique and perfectly balanced steak. Not even remotely needed was a crack at dessert, which was this 1,000-layered panqueque argentino drizzled with warm cajeta caramel and served with salted smoked caramel ice cream. Dear Lord! Now, while the night could have ended there, the owner insisted in one more special concoction called the Casual Encounter, and then casually led me downstairs to their semi-speakeasy subterranean lounge, which seemed like a perfect place to bask in the warm glow of a fantastic meal just had. A fantastic day out in DC starts at the National Gallery of Art skating rink, which affords intrepid athletes of all ages and levels of experience to glide around the open-air statue garden with wanton abandon. After working up a bit of an appetite, it's great to pop into the adjacent cafe to have a sandwich or hot cocoa before hitting up the actual art gallery, which will surely blow minds. Some unique elements of the museum is their furniture wing, where you can see the housewares of the infamous, like Jefferson's chess table. The gallery always has impressive exhibits, like the new woman behind the camera, which celebrates over 120 international female photographers that helped define modern photography. Ascending upstairs to the European wing is a must, if just to gaze upon the only Leonardo da Vinci in the United States, the Ginevra da Benci. Hot tip, don't forget the overlooked backside, where virtutem forma decorat, or beauty adorns virtue, is cryptically displayed like Dan Brown wrote it. Perhaps the most exciting element of the gallery is the gift shop, which is by far one of the best shopping experiences you can have in DC. Here, you can find almost anything, perhaps even the Holy Grail.
There it is. The cup of Christ. I can almost reach it. Indiana, let it go.
The city of Washington, D.C. is like a museum you can walk through. That doesn't really make sense because you walk through museums anyway, but what I'm trying to say is that the whole city is in fact like a museum. Walking around here, it's impossible not to step full heel into a stinking pile of culture, and Washington Mall is where all learned roads lead. There are in fact 19 Smithsonian museums around this area, and the Smithsonian Institute boasts the title of the world's largest museum, which is quite impressive indeed. Despite this title, one exhibit that many unknowingly pass over is the tomb of the man who established all this. James Smith's son was the bastard son of an American-hating nobleman, so upon his death he bequeathed that his entire fortune be used to, quote, create an establishment for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. Well, Jimmy, all I can say is thank you. The Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. may be the most fun museum I've ever been to. First, you're submerged into the bowels of the building and take a quick psych test that will assess your strengths and assign you a cover that you must memorize. That's funny, I do love Brazil and I wanted to be Indiana Jones when I was a kid. Anyway, once you're inside, you are free to explore a massive collection of real spy tech from over a century, and interactive displays that test your skills at decoding and espionage in a frighteningly real way. Immersion is the key here, and it is impossible not to get a glimpse of what this dangerous world is like firsthand. The whole museum, in effect, is like some sort of giant game that is constantly testing you, and you can't help but feel like someone's watching you, with the possibility of recruiting you for special ops. In the end, I didn't make the grade, which was fine with me because I had a brunch date, but the Spy Museum is definitely worth checking out. Wait, is that a shopping cart or is that a surveillance device? Nah, never mind. One of the best ways to see DC is on two wheels. So, I walked down to Unlimited Biking on the wharf to get on a new electric bike. And before I knew it, I was cruising with my personal guide Ignacio past the epic monuments that celebrate this capital city. First up was the least visited and most interesting to me, Franklin D. Roosevelt Memorial, which uses negative presses into iron to illustrate the benefits and drawbacks of social policies like the New Deal that Roosevelt implemented to save America from the Great Depression. But mostly, it's the attention to detail that haunts me. Like this handprint that's burnt into the Great Depression door as if someone had said goodbye to their home before walking off. Amazing. Next up is the most beautiful monument, the Martin Luther King Memorial, where the statue of Dr. King seems to be ripped out of the very mountain that he speaks from. The towering statue is purposefully left unfinished, as was the message Dr. King was trying to deliver before he was tragically assassinated. Then there was the solemn, beautiful, and haunting Korean War Monument, which is the newest addition to the city and is almost complete. Cool fact, no matter where you stand here, there's at least one soldier that's actually looking directly at you, which is extremely poignant. The next up is a big one, the famous Lincoln Memorial, which is quite powerful. If you are mindful, look down and find the exact spot that Dr. Martin Luther King stood to give his famous I Have a Dream speech. It's simply mind-blowing just to think about. Finally, the Vietnam Memorial, which has some of the most unique features. First, it's the only monument that shows soldiers with their weapons, and second, it's the only monument that honors women, each representing a virtue as hope, faith, and charity. The wall itself has a fascinating history. A 21-year-old student beat out 1,400 applicants to design the wall by meeting the criteria perfectly. It had to be reflective, subdued, contained all the names of those who died, and make no political statements. While controversial at the time, she perfectly delivered on all these criteria, especially with the names, which start and end with the first and last person to die in the war meeting in the middle. Truly monumental. Alright, if you're a foodie or a very indecisive person, Western Market Food Emporium is a place of pure delight. Built from the bones of the original 1802 marketplace designed by Pierre Lafont, this new cathedral to cuisine offers a taste for oh man, that's cute. For everyone. For the sake of research, we decided to do a bit of a bang and sample a few places, like Mason's, who are famous for the lobster rolls that are flown fresh from Saco, Maine, and prepared in a very classic style that is exquisite. We also tried Roaming Rooster's hot chicken, which is the lobster of the land, as you know, and definitely did not disappoint, especially paired with their sour cabbage slaw that was just delicious and cut the heat perfectly. But if you're looking to lunch like a pro, then there really is no better place than Duke's Grocery. This DC old school staple has 3 celebrated locations, but for my money, the original DuPont Circle spot tucked inside the historic row house is the place to be. Now, while inside offers full Brit curry house feels, the outside patio is a premium delight for those who want to experience the beauty of downtown DC wash over you. Yes, Duke's has an impressive beer and cocktail menu that's glorified by their extremely generous daily happy hour, but what sets this pub apart is the food. A curated menu of savory delights made fresh to order is as close as a greasy spoon fine dining experience you can get. Perhaps what they're best known for is their proper burger, which is a Creekstone Farm Angus patty with melted Gouda, pickles, charred red onion, sweet chili, rocket, and garlic aioli on a brioche, which is...
That's really good.
Oh yeah.
That's really, really good.
DC after dark is a wonderful place. While the city is shaking with nightlife, 14th Street is the absolute epicenter of entertainment. Taking in live comedy at the Source Theater or getting your bro and bratwurst on in Franklin Hall, you could find it right here in one place. Our first stop was this clandestine unmarked door, which after a knock and a pause in a stairwell will gain you entry to the Gibson, where the eclectic mix of people and absolutely masterful bartenders will start your night off on a very high note with a very green drink. If the weather is nice, then a stop at the Garden District is mandatory, with their festive patio brimming with a jaunty crowd as they feast on barbecue Sammys and cold pitchers of beer. Dialing it back a bit, just swing around the corner to the left door, which is located, well, through the left door of this dry cleaner right next door. A mellow and friendly speakeasy, it's a perfect place to get to know someone or plan your attack on the night. The next place isn't hard to find and makes no beef with what they're all about. Chicken+Whiskey is a rare jewel in the nightlife mine. Up front is a positively delicious roast chicken joint, but if you venture in the back and slide past the fridge door, you'll enter a full-fledged disco. This place was bouncing from wall to wall at 8 p.m., so if you go early. I had to do a double take on the way out because I honestly thought it was a dream. Next, we pit stopped at Jane, which offers not just an amazing craft cocktail scene, but savory snacks to keep you rockin'. Giving our livers just a breath of air, we popped into DC's legendary Miss Pixie, which is open late. It's labeled as a thrift store, but it's really more of an emporium of epic tchotchke. From rare Corningware to radioactive stemware to not so suitable for lunch dinnerware, this place is a palace to quirk, where you can easily spend a moment finding that perfect thing that you did not know you needed. Now, having built up quite an appetite, we slid into Barcelona Wine Bar, which was positively humming with excitement. Here, the line between lounge and restaurant is beautifully blurred in typical Castilian style, where you can either drink and nibble the night away, or dive in a bit deeper and rock an authentic paella. Next, we were told to roll the dice and take a chance on the Players Club.
Why? Because members built the Players Club. They told us what they wanted, and Players Club listened.
And boy, did they, Telly Savalas, delivering on a subterranean pleasure palace that lets your nostalgia run wild. If you can't have a good time here, you might have a problem. Now that Jackie was devoid of inhibition, I told her to go down this dark stairwell in the alley and knock on a door. What would seem like a murder scene turned out to be maybe the best speakeasy yet, simply called The Mirror. There's no cameras allowed inside, so you best go see for yourself. Last, to put a nail in a night's coffin, we washed up on the shore of Saks, which you don't need directions to, you just need to follow the faint thumping sound that permeates the city. Inside Saks, you are transported to a divinely confused mix of St. Petersburg and Cabo San Lucas, where the dance floor is full of convulsing revelers fueled by sparkler-topped drinks. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure I would recall anything past the Gibson, if not for my camera and a few lovely souvenirs. Thanks, DC. You're the best time I don't remember having.